Mark.
Yes.
Last time we were on, you were talking or reading about an article or a piece that referred to, was it 2,000 employees? Had a punch-up. They started a riot at work.
Factory in China.
That was it, factory in China, now I remember. And that made me spot this piece in the Occupational Psychology Digest.
You read just
I
the best
do.
things.
It's at night. How else am I going to sleep? And 50 Shades of Grey has got nothing on the Occupational Digest. This is looking at, does conflict in groups lead to worse or better performance? Now, intuitively, what are you going to say?
Intuitively, I'm going to say it leads to worse performance.
Yeah.
People are fighting.
And the long and the short of it is that yes and no. It depends what kind of conflict and what kind of team team dynamic you've got. But
okay.
Yeah, these people divide the type of conflict into relational conflict, which is where you don't like me and I don't like you, and it's nothing to do with the task. It's just we don't like each other. And task conflict, where we just disagree on how we're going to do something.
Okay.
And now also it becomes clearer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The task conflict might be not a bad thing. Well, these guys are actually looking at whether it's not just not a bad thing, whether it actually improves your performance to have the disagreement and the conflict.
Are you going to try and convince me that it actually improves your performance?
Yes.
There may be some conflict here.
Well, it depends on whether it's conflict over the task and how we do this disagreement, or whether we just not going to get on with each other.
Yeah, well, everybody knows we don't like each other.
Yeah, I know. Right, so they studied 117 teams, and some of those, 23% of they looked at all the studies before this and found that 23% of the studies actually found reports that it was improving performance to have some form of conflict in the team. So that's when they set out to look at whether there's a difference between relational conflict, I just simply don't like you, and task disagreements. 117 teams, and they all had to cooperate and then do a project. And it was the project that was the final measure. And they looked at performance on the project.
Okay.
And lo and behold, we discovered that the question was, would conflict, and they controlled for relational conflict. So it was not conflict that was to do with I don't like you, you don't like me.
Everybody loved each other.
That was controlled out. And they discovered that in actual fact, the more conflict there was about how to do things, the better the teams performed. There was a better performance on the project for those that argued the toss about how to do something.
Actually, when you put it like that, I regret to advise I have to agree with you. Yeah, because if we're going to talk about how to do the show and I say, let's do this, this and this, and you just say, yup, then we have a view that holds sway, and that's what happens. Whereas if you say, no, hang on a minute, wouldn't it be better if we did that, and we discuss it, that then is a process by which the whole show improves. Maybe we should try that sometime.
Yeah, doesn't that bring us back to government? You see, because the whole idea, isn't it the theory of the dialectic, that the truth will out only through two opposing arguments teasing it out, and you will end up with the truth in the middle.
Yeah.
And as opposed to yah-booing across the house because we don't like Tories and we don't like Labour, we're supposed to be arguing on how to get the best for the country.
Yes. However, we don't live in an apolitical society, so hey.
So relational conflict as opposed to task conflict.
Okay, so if you are someone managing a team, should you be trying to promote conflict to try and make that happen?
And
how risky is that, though?
What they say is it's not risky so long as you make sure that you work hard to create a climate where people feel they can speak out, because they're not in fear of insulting each other. This is not relational conflict. This is purely a task-related, how do we do things? And if people feel that they can speak out and say, no, this is the wrong way to do it, that in the end, you end up with a higher team performance.
Okay, but there is a risk, subject to the quality of manager as well as the quality of the people, the emotional intelligence of the people involved in that conflict, that you say A, I say B, we the tension and the conflict increases until we get to the bit where I say you're just stupid, and that's personal. And it's not you that's stupid, it's your idea that's stupid.
And that requires some training. And I think that maybe there's an opportunity there for more training in how to behave yourself in meetings, or how to facilitate as a manager. To jump in at the right, because a skilled facilitator would actually generate conflict, because the job of a facilitator in some ways, thinking about it, is to get two conflicting ideas or more going across a table, but to also keep out of it any personal or relational. And you can do that through use of humour, making somebody laugh about the fact that they're being challenged, and so on. There are lots of facilitation. There are lots of ways a facilitator could do that. Mm-hmm. And the point being that a good facilitator, in the end, through doing that, usually will get you to a better point than you would have done without arguing the toss across the table.